I don't know if a lot of people were paying attention to this, but during the national championship last night, the news came out that Brandon Belt was going to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. And the first thing I thought of was, wow, the Blue Jays are going to give him $9 million to play like 75 games.
Yeah.
What did you think when you heard the Brandon Belt news?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't necessarily want Brandon Belt back, but I have been a big person when it comes to this whole shift going away. And I thought that
You mean the baseball shift as in the infield shift?
So with the infield shift going away.
So you're anti-shift?
No, well, I don't know if I'm anti-shift or not, because for everybody, well, just be like Ty Cobb and we'll
go the other way.
Try to go the other way when someone's throwing 99 at your fingertips. But
with a splitter that goes 91.
Exactly. It's not as easy as it sounds. But with the shift kind of being outlawed, I thought that a lot of these lefty hitters, should at least be worth another look. I would put Yastrzemski in that same boat. All these guys, why not? So because of that, I wasn't necessarily against if the Giants were thinking about bringing Brandon Belt back, because we talked about it in the pre-show as well. The idea of, we've had him for too long, that had already happened to me. Yeah. So if you're going to hold on to him, you might as well let him finish with the team at this point, because the time where you're supposed to let him go, that already passed by. But for the Blue Jays, I think it makes, like I said, I think it makes sense. You get a lefty in there. There's no more shift. Maybe he hits a little bit higher, like you said. I mean, the Blue Jays, they've been trying to kind of level up and do this thing. They're trying to get over the hump.
Yes.
So I think because of that, and obviously they have Vladdy, so they don't need Brandon. That's the difference, and that's why when we get into the Giants more, here's the issue. They're not bringing Brandon Belt over to be their 4, 5, 6 hitter.
No.
If he had stayed on the Giants, it's probably what he would have been.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
And he's miscast as that right now, currently in his age and his stage, and they expect him to play that many games. I mean, just look at his game logs. Toronto needed a left-handed power bat too, just a situational lefty. Right. They've got a bunch of righties: Springer, Bichette, Guerrero. Like their whole lineup is like righties, so it makes a ton of sense. It's just interesting to see the reaction from Giants fans on Brandon Belt. 12 years with the team. I think he was a really, really good Giant. We can argue about good, great, how impactful he was. Clearly, he was part of a championship core. 2 of those championships, he wasn't on that first team. But to see the reaction, I think there's a lot of Giants fans that are really sad to see him go.
Yeah, and look, I think it goes deeper. I think it goes deeper than just baseball and the stats, whether you're an analytics guy, whether you are more traditional and like RBIs and batting average and things like that. I think it does go beyond. And I said it to you myself. I was never a big Brandon Belt guy, and I know it was a bit of a shtick, but the captain thing, it actually showed me a little bit of his personality.
I mean, like the captain.
He was here for so long. And you never really knew. All I knew about Brandon Belt was that somebody gave him a nickname, Giraffe, and his shoe size is like 37.
It was a great nickname.
That's all I knew.
It was a great nickname.
That's all I knew. So then, these later years, as he started to loosen up a bit, as Buster got older and things like that, and he showed more of his personality. Well, he had the captaincy. Wow, this guy's pretty funny. I mean, so to me, you gave me a couple good memories. He had the home run, obviously, in the playoffs. You won some World Series. That's more than a lot of people can say about what their teams have done for them. No, he wasn't an integral piece or anything like that, but I think that because of that, and then now seeing the later part of his career, and he had some good moments. Yeah. We all know when we talk about streaks, people have been saying Brock Purdy's on his Linsanity run. Brandon Belt would have about 1 Linsanity run per season.
Yeah, 2-week stretch would be red hot.
Would just be red hot. So to me, the end of his career with the Giants made me feel better about, oh yeah, you know what? Sure. But I mean, so I think I'm probably not alone in that. But in terms of baseball, he is what he was.
Bad body language Hall of Famer?
I'd say so.
Right? Like there's a handful of guys that wouldn't like, whether you like them, don't like them, whatever, just how they're viewed because of their body language. Like to me, he's a bad body language Hall of Famer. What are you
Jay Cutler, Mount Rushmore.
Jay Cutler?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I was just going Bay Area, but wow, I think you just won. I think you won the game. I think the game's over. Jay Cutler's about as good as he gets. Him striking out with the slumped shoulders, especially, like, there's just something about seeing a big 6'5" guy who's supposed to be a middle of the order guy taking as many pitches as he did, thinking he's got the eye of Bonds when he doesn't, nor the respect from the umpires that Bonds had. It would drive me crazy, especially in RBI situations. Swing the bat, doggy, was my phrase to him for a decade.
Yeah.
He was a good Giant. I'm not trying to diminish him or kick him on the way out the door. It's interesting because Farhan was brought here to move off of these guys. And now that he's done it, even just a little, like with Brandon Belt, obviously, it's like, whoa, I'm seeing this backlash from people. He deserved to stay a Giant. Well, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You can't turn the page and try to improve your roster for the long term and for the now by sticking on to guys who just aren't good ball players anymore.
But I do think that a little bit of that, I would be curious if those people felt like that 3 years ago. Because I think what I said earlier, the fact that you missed your window and you're probably
trade him.
Yeah, you're probably not. You're probably, who knows what the Giants are going to do this upcoming season. So why not just go out and let him finish a Giant? I get that part of it. Should he, based on his production? Not really. But then when you think about it, just a couple years ago, he had a really good season.
No, he did.
You can't book that though, because so did Brandon Crawford. So that all goes back to that season as a whole and how it was just a bit of an aberration, if we will. And we can call it that.
Yeah.
We can call it that.
I think they outperformed. I hate saying outlier because that means like the guys, I don't know. Something was fake about it. I don't want to say it was fake. They had a great year.
They got hot.
Everybody overperformed. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they did get hot. That's exactly it. And everything fell in the right places. And you get credit for that. It's interesting because I see a lot of people, he got belted at AT&T Park, and had he played somewhere else? Well, if that's the case, why didn't his splits look dramatically different on the road?
That's true.
When you're playing in Colorado, Arizona, even LA is a little more hitter-friendly than San Francisco. So I want to continue the Brandon Belt conversation because I just want to ask you guys a question. Can you name a more polarizing player in sports than Brandon Belt? Some people think he was awesome. Some people think he stunk. It's kind of similar to Jimmy Garoppolo, kind of similar to some other athletes. Derek Carr right now is going through this with, I think, Raider fans. Guys who there are a ton of people think are really, really good to great, and a lot of other people think are dramatically overrated.